Commanders' offensive line's a problem. It was a problem in the only preseason action they got as a starting group against the Detroit Lions. 2 dropbacks, a pressure incomplete throwaway, and a sack. And then today, apparently the O-line and pass pro group got their doors blown off by the Baltimore Ravens. So the question then becomes, if you're Adam Peters, what do you do? How do you fix it? I want to go down the line, though, really quickly and just take inventory on the 5 guys. Left tackle, Brandon Coleman. Isn't it interesting that we have not really talked that much about Coleman being an issue since the Tunsil injury? Because if you're an out-of-towner, Ravens beat guy I saw saying this today, a lot of national people are saying, since the Tunsil injury, the Commanders are really having O-line problems. And I can see how you would jump from one lily pad to the other there. Everyone heard that Tunsil was one of the best tackles on the planet, got hurt 10 days ago or whatever, 2 weeks ago, and now they have O-line problems. I'm not telling you that Brandon Coleman's going to the Pro Bowl or going to be an All-Pro or he's a world beater, but I actually think he's been pretty solid. In the one-on-one reps today, I got to see video of a bunch of the one-on-one reps. He might have been their best in one-on-ones. Like, he was very stout in practice today. I didn't watch it, wasn't there. Based on all the tweets, and this guy just got beat, this guy got torched. I saw one mention that Coleman had a bad play that would have led to a sack, which over the course of a game, is going to color how someone views your game. But I would say Coleman is higher on the list than he is lower on the guys that you feel okay about on this line. Chris Paul, the jury's very much still out, hit free agency, didn't have a lot of interest, came back here, and was being pushed by Coleman, who might have ended up starting over him if Tunsil didn't get hurt. Center, we've talked about a ton. That's the disaster area right now with Allegretti out. Right guard, Sam Cosmi did not practice today. This is a very, very important caveat to this conversation. He's their best lineman. He is their stonewalled, entrenched Pro Bowl caliber guy. He makes everything around him better. He was not out there today. So they were using guards that may not even be on the 53-man roster against starters for the Ravens a ton. And then at right tackle, you've got Connerly, who I think is a super important player in all of this. Connerly has not had a banner camp. Connerly has not turned into yet the Pro Bowl right tackle that they need him to.
This is the essential part of this year. The anchors, at this point, last year it's forgivable that Josh Connerly is getting his feet wet and it's up and down. It should be up and down. End of the first round. Yeah, every once in a while you get a guy at the back end of the first round. I can't remember exactly where Tristan Wirfs went. I think he was right around 20. Took him a second. Now he's one of the best tackles in football. But their growing pains are fine. This is supposed to be we got one year. Like, you saw some signs as a rookie. Now it's Ian Tunsil or the bookends, and you could fill in between. It kind of doesn't really matter. That hasn't been the case. So that's the part probably that's, I don't want to say most concerning because the center position's on fire. Like, that's the actual conflagration. But kind of the 1A story should be, and it's not, Connerly. Because I just think things would be different if you didn't have to, worry and account for him and make sure that Bates is over there just to keep him company. You're right. It's been the fact that Coleman is solid, because that's, you and I said this when Tunsil went down. Your ceiling lowered, but Coleman is fine. He's always fine. Like, they seem to want to do better at a couple different spots. That's their prerogative. That's their right. But every time Brandon Coleman plays, it's fine. And that's kind of who he is. So he's ironically, the guy I'm least concerned about other than Cosme.
So here's my analogy for this as I think about this. I remember the first time my wife went out with her friends after we had our fourth, okay? And the baby was like the most baby you could baby.
Slow baby.
And she was going out for a very short time, going around the corner with friends, probably an hour. She doesn't trust me to do anything correctly, by the way. And I remember, like, this baby won't stop crying, just wailing, doesn't take the bottle, everything is terrible. And my daughter, who's 7, at the time was 6, and she came into the room. She'd been very good, no issues. And she started whimpering about something and doing baby talk. And I remember looking at her and going, not you. Not tonight. You are a big girl. You're a big kid. The baby is going to take all of my attention. Everything I got is going to go into this baby tonight, right? You can't be the one to give me problems. I need you to help me. You're my co-pilot, whatever I said. And my point is, Josh Connerly, dude, I can't have to worry about you right now. I drafted you in the first round. You got baptized
I like this analogy.
last year. You see where I'm going with this?
Yes, I do.
I have to...
There's a hole in the dam right now.
Exactly.
I can't have you not man the portcullis.
I am putting out a fire at center. It is a raging inferno. I've got my mask on. I've got my helmet on. I'm running up the steps with my little shovel.
You're a Baldwin brother in backdraft, bro.
Backdraft. I am running up the steps to put this fire out. And by the way, I already know that there are embers smoldering. It's not a fire yet, but it could turn into one at left guard probably. I'm also dealing with the left tackle thing. I happen to like Brandon Coleman. Maybe there won't be a fire, but I used to have nothing to worry about in that room, and now I do. So listen up, Josh Connerly. Sam Cosmi can't be the only one that's Ronco. Set it and forget it. I need two of those guys right now. I need you to grow up. Remember the Titans when Herman Boone told Sunshine Ronnie Bass, I think, that when his mom passed away, he had 12 brothers and sisters, and they were all looking up to him, and he had to take over. And then they're like, "Really? Is that true?"
I thought it was 8.
Whatever. Yeah. He's like, "I thought you had 6 brothers and sisters." He's like, it sounded better, or whatever. I need Josh Connerly to grow up real quick, real fast, and play really good football. I need him to have his, what is it, a bar mitzvah? What's like the coming of age thing?
Yeah, that's the one.
I need that right now from this guy, immediately, because I can't worry about another position. I did the thing I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I drafted you in the first round. Mm-hmm. I've developed you for a year and a half. You got to go play good football.
Like right now, it's time. And that kind of changes the balance of things, because to your point, and you've made this over the years because we've seen some really smart offensive minds come through here. You can coach around a deficiency, right? Like there are games where Trent Williams missed, whether it was early in his career, marijuana suspension or a couple injuries here and there, and it'd be Ty Nsekhe or be somebody else. You could fill in. You could coach around something. There are a certain series of plays where, okay, we'll have maybe one less receiver early in the route. It's a chip with the tight end, or we'll go jumbo with an extra offensive lineman and do this, that, and the other. There's a lot of things that you can do around a deficiency. You can't coach around multiple deficiencies to a high level, right? You can sort of do it, knowing that you're going to punt a lot, but it's different if it's just, hey, one lineman isn't as strong, or you got to back up here. We can't be quite as dynamic. You can't reach the second level. But if you've got a problem if this is the case, center, right tackle, left guard, it's now all of a sudden more than we're coaching. You're now coaching for your life. It's different than coaching around something. This is, oh my God, nothing on this big IHOP play sheet looks any good anymore. We can't order.
You keep crossing out plays because you can't run that one because of that position.
That takes too long. That takes too little time. He can't get there. What do we do?
The evidence is just mounting. And I promise you guys, as you drive in your cars, listening to this show, and the real ones who have been around long enough to know, I'm not one of these dudes who wants to scream into a megaphone town crier style that there's a fire. Like, that's not how I operate. I'm very calm. This time of year, it's really hard to move me to any kind of nervousness or emotion or whatever. But the returns are not good. If this is election night and I'm a campaign manager and I'm sitting there, the race isn't getting called for a few hours, okay? So it's not devastating yet. But I just got a exit poll that says that most of the people who are like the folks that are voting don't like me very much. It's a bad indicator at like 6:15 p.m.
Yeah, that campaign party, it's playing music, but nobody's dancing.
This is not going well.
Right.
I'm finding out that in a town where everyone has a beard, only 27% of people in the exit polls that have beards say that they like me. That's a damaging blow. And enough of that keeps piling up on my desk. I'm going to start thinking maybe when the votes come in, it could be an L for me. And each of these joint practices, preseason 3-snap game against the Lions, these are indicators. These are exit polls. Let's go to Cade in L.A. on the Fan. What's up, Cade? How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Grant, Danny? Always an honor to talk to you guys. Hey, I just want to address a couple of things. So we're always thinking of targets being the main subject, and so I was kind of just thinking of potential targets that could be suitable options for Washington going forward. One I have is Olu Oluwatimi, who's the backup for Seattle, and he's actually a DMV guy, and I think he would fit pretty well in the David Blau offense. Also looking at Lloyd Cushenberry, who's technically was hired to be the backup for Connor McGovern as he nurses an injury, and Jarrett Patterson. And this kind of all stems from how Dan Quinn has handled the center position. I don't really like that we had Julian Good-Jones playing starting center reps with Jane Daniels for so long just for Golden to be switched back and forth from guard. And I don't know. I just don't like how the interior of this line is panning out. And I think while we're all talking about center, we're kind of getting lost in the fact that Chris Paul has not looked good. Kind of hence why he only got $3 million from us this offseason because nobody else took him.
But so this is kind of my point. Sorry to cut you off, Cade. It's a good phone call. If we're just doing a binary confidence meter, I'm extremely confident. Binary 1, yes, check on Sam Cosmi. I would even be willing. I think I'm alone walking into this cave with my lantern, but I'm willing to go in and check the box on Brandon Coleman at left tackle and say, I feel fine with him at left tackle.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that at center. I'm not doing that at right tackle. Maybe I'm in the minority there, but I haven't seen enough
What
yet.
are you doing at left guard? Do you have a lantern? Are you going into the cave right now?
I don't think I can say with confidence after free agency spoke, here's what's rumbling around in my head. I was starting to be told and hear whispers from people in Ashburn. And when I say people, I'm talking about like team folks, not just like a guy at practice, right? That Brandon Coleman might overtake Chris Paul to start at guard. That could be the way it was trending as a plan. And then he had to move to tackle. Well, if that was happening, why? Is it just that Coleman's that much better, that he had that great of a year since being benched for Paul last year? Or is it a Paul thing? And when I see how they performed and I see how free agency went and then he came back and they didn't pay him a whole lot on another one-year deal, there's enough reason for me to think maybe it has something to do with Paul too.
Are you allowing, again, I'm in Dan Quinn speak mode. Are you allowing any space in this conversation for
in that space
to go? Well, let's throw a good take on this. That there still needs we still need a little bit more time here. This isn't just a talent issue because as soon as everyone's a little bit more comfortable in this scheme, if let's say Paul right now is a 3 out of 10, but in a month he'll be a 5.5, and that doesn't sound like much, but it's infinitely better.
Well, I don't think. I guess my answer succinctly would be yes, but I don't think they should be going out and trying to add a new starter at various positions. Connerly, it needs to work out. He's a first-round pick.
That one has to work.
I mean, you don't go upgrade.
Right.
Like in this second, right now, could DJ Humphries play a better right tackle than Josh Connerly? I don't know the answer to that. But if the answer, hypothetically,
which is alarming, by the way.
If the answer is yes, okay, let's just say in a world where it's yes, I still wouldn't play him there because Josh Connerly developing is the most important thing. And I think there's a world where he ends up being outstanding, where he ends up being a 12-year right tackle, excellent athlete, and he is one of the better players on the team, and he's a second, third contract guy. But they shouldn't be trying to upgrade that. I wouldn't be hunting for a new starting left guard right now. I guess if something presented itself and like bumped into me, I wouldn't hate it. But I would be fine. Like it's one position. The problem is, as the caller just said, when it's just one position turns into 4 positions.
Yep.
I don't think they should try to sign Decker over Coleman. I'm fine with that. I don't think they necessarily should get a left guard over Paul. I'm fine with him. The one area where they do need someone that's not on the roster is center. And whether that's Allegretti and whoever gets cut that they bring in here, or just that guy and Allegretti's not back and that guy starts, fine. But I would sign a starting center, caliber player, to push Allegretti, or maybe start when he gets back, whatever, until he gets back. And I think otherwise you're kind of, back to your question, hoping that those other guys come along. Connolly's got the potential. Paul was a top 5 graded pass blocker via PFF last year among all guards.
And that's why I bring that up, because I wonder how much this is a slow learning curve, and that's why Coleman overtook him. These guys work hard in the offseason, obviously, but I don't know that Coleman went to get good at guard camp and all of a sudden became a better guard than Chris Paul overnight. Everybody's working.
I'm sure he's a lot better because, remember, he hadn't played a ton of guard. He's now had a year to work at it. He's a good football player.
Sure.
Stands to reason he could overtake him.
And that could happen. But my guess is the thing that's pushing him is because different things are being asked of these linemen that maybe last year fit Paul better and this year might fit Coleman better. That to me was my first thought. And I'm sure Coleman worked at it and improved, but is it to the point now where, Paul was I'm making these numbers up, a 6 out of 10 in Kingsbury scheme and is a 2 out of 10 in Blau's. I have no idea. I mean, someone much smarter than me who breaks down tape could tell me why, or if that's bogus, that's nonsense. But Coleman maybe seemed to be a better fit. Now he's got to play tackle, and you're like, hey, we loved you all along, Chris. You've always been our guy, left guard. It may be that it's just not a fit. And it may be that they could go into free agency and sign a Zeitler or a Becton or somebody like that.
My other question would be, going back to center for a second. We keep saying this guy's available, or you could sign this player. Should Adam Peters just make a trade for a decent center?
I would.
A pretty good one. Now, those guys aren't always available, and maybe you'd have to pick a quality center on a really bad team. This late in the game, I think it's hard to get I'm just making this up, like a Browns team or somebody to give up a center going into the year, even if they already know they're not going to be very good or they're in the beginning of a rebuild. The Dolphins are one of these teams that's going to be picking in the top 5 in the NFL. But if you give up a mid-round pick and you get a solid center, is it a game changer? It is important enough a season, I think, for Peters, for Quinn, for Daniels, and especially for Daniels in year 3, that I think it is well worth doing that. I know they don't want to be in the business of continually just giving up picks for now, but if they feel like, I don't know how they feel. I know what the feeling is among the media today.
Yeah.
I know what the feeling is among a lot of fans, but that doesn't matter. How does the team feel? Maybe they think they're fine at center. If they feel like the center position could derail the early part of their season, then you probably need to make a trade. It's not good enough to just say, we'll find a guy that gets cut, a Noah Brown type that's a fringe roster guy. You might need to give up a third or fourth round pick or something and go get a guy that's started a lot of games recently.
Which you don't want to do, again, kind of to your point, but you have to find that sweet spot. And again, it takes 2 to tango. You trade for a guy that's a starter, but the team that you're trading to goes, you know what, we've got a young draft pick or a backup that may be able to take a spot and do just as well. We're better off long term with the backup and your 4th rounder, and Luke McCaffrey, and somebody that we think could help us from your organization. That's hard. Or you go get the backup, right? You go get the guy that isn't going to play for them, that they're willing to part with.
Tim's waiting in Alexandria. It's Grant and Danny on the Fan. Tough day for the Commanders' offensive line in a joint practice against the Ravens. Tim, what's up?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. My question is, it's kind of a comment, but it's kind of double-clicking on some of the things you said, but especially in light of the narrative that Tyler Linderbaum was overpaid or grossly overpaid, should we be putting more of a priority on the center position? In 42 years of being a fan, I've never heard of a team's season being derailed this early by a center being out.
Agreed there.
Maybe a left tackle, maybe a running back, and it's a little bit, almost seems like organizational malpractice in some ways to go into this the season with the center position this thin, and there's nobody available to fill it. I mean, at left tackle, we lost Kunkel, but like you said earlier, nobody's talking about Coleman. Nobody's really talking about that position being the one that needs to get upgraded. So I don't know, just curious as far as roster construction goes, maybe we should be paying more for centers.
Well, it's an awesome question.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's where I come back to. I don't think we know exactly what the problem is yet. I think we're still dissecting like why the water pressure is low. We haven't found the rock in the pipe just yet. But if their O-line is in shambles solely because of the center problem, then you're right. You can't then tell me at the same time center's the 5th most important and just doesn't matter that much. Because I know that is how a lot of teams view it now. Feels like maybe they're one of those teams based on the offseason.
Sure.
But when I covered the Redskins from 10 to 13 with Mike Shanahan, the amount of times that they would talk about guards like they're just furniture in the room.
They're water boys.
I mean, it was 150 times where I'd be like, but what about this? They got Corey Lichtensteiger, who was 30 pounds underweight and hadn't played in a year or whatever. He was like out of the league. They had him in Denver as a guy that they liked in their zone blocking scheme a little bit. And so they just called him, and he was like the first move they made. And he was their guard. And next thing you know, he was supplanting, I can't remember who it was that he was like splitting time with almost immediately. Derek Dockery.
Draft pick out of Texas, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a big dude, former 3rd-round pick, really good career. And they knew what they wanted, and they didn't think guards were that important. They needed to be able to move laterally, could be a little undersized and quick. They wanted to pull you and get you in space. They just did not prioritize the position. They weren't going to spend on it. Remember the famous Jay Gruden quote? We got one guy that we drafted, that we hit in the 1st round, and it's a guard.
Guard.
In like this disrespectful way.
Yeah.
So that's how the league viewed guards 10, 15, 12 years ago, right? That's changed now. But I do think to some extent it's how the league views center a little bit. Because on almost every play, you get help, or you're like the guy that's moving to your left to double the nose tackle, the defensive tackle, the 3 tech. You're almost never just like one-on-one with his 370-pound nose tackle anymore. And because of that, I think teams feel like that can be your weakest offensive lineman as long as they're very smart. And the Commanders are going with this very smart philosophy with Nick Allegretti, obviously. But I think the caller's onto something. If the problem is the center position and that's how we got here, then we need to reevaluate how important it is.
I think that's fair.
I just think there's probably a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to go. It reminds me, again, I think our buddy KB tweeted this at us. This reminds me of the Will Harris conversation from last year, a guy, ironically, that they cut just either yesterday or the day before, where, well, we can't have a secondary. No Will Harris. You know, this veteran is so important for us. He's indispensable. Turns out he was dispensable. We're now talking, again, like Nick Allegretti is the key to this entire thing. This is not a first ballot Hall of Fame superstar that's going to make everybody, go up 7 ratings. It's just not. I mean, they don't have greatness at that spot, but I think this is more about the collective unit than it is just about the center. The center is the burning conflagration. That's on fire. That's a problem. That's bad. But again, we've already talked about right tackle is an issue. Left guard might be an issue as well. And when you don't have, a Trent Williams or a Laramie Tunsil just to sort of make a lot of things better and, and kind of solve it all, we like Cosme. We like Coleman. But 3/5 of it ain't particularly good. And in fact, it might be bad. So that to me is the larger point.
It's also tough because I think they did such a good job putting together other areas of the roster. Like I have been so impressed by wide receiver out there. I think the linebacking group, Adam Peters sunk his teeth into that, completely fixed it. The edge position, when they're healthy with Chason and with Owe, was dominant in training camp. So many of the spots where you said, Adam, get to work, they've crushed it. Center is curiously gone in a different direction, and you wonder how and why. Next, we've got a big announcement for you. We will make it on Grant and Danny. Plus, I want to let you guys hear a clip from Take Command. I want you to react to it, Danny, because I had talked to Logan about all the concern people were having out of the Lions game, and he had some interesting thoughts on that. And we'll get to that next.